This is my Chunkman account. With a mere chunk in his possession and a dream in his heart, he began his quest to conquer the vast expanse of old-school RuneScape's landmass. He started his journey from humble beginnings in Lumbridge, but with an arsenal of custom tasks, he has faced and overcome countless challenges. His journey has taken him through the trials of total level grinding, epic quests, mysterious clues, and perilous encounters with fearsome bosses, all in order to unlock new chunks of land. Now halfway through the journey, the road ahead may be paved with even greater challenges, but with each obstacle overcome, he moves closer to his goal. So welcome to the second half of Chunkman DDK. Last episode we unlocked 5 chunks by killing Kraken for the first, 50th and 100th time, Cerberus for the 250th time, and completed hard clues up to 50 caskets opened in total. The chunks we got because of that were 2 chunks of the Isle of Souls, the bottom chunk of Zolra's Shrine, a very small piece to the west of Miscellanea, and finally we got the amazing Relica chunk, which is going to start us off today. It's time to put our newest chunk to good use. The first quest we are going to do is the Fremenic Trials, just to make sure that we have the area unlocked. Most of the things we can do, there are a couple of things where we'll have to work around a couple of chunks we don't have, but if I am correct, we should be able to do the entire quest, so that will be 1 chunk unlocked that way. First of all though, we need to unlock our newest chunk, so that is the Relica chunk unlocked. And next up we need to talk to Brunt to see what's going on here in this Fremenic village. A lot of people here in the village don't want to talk to us, and that was made apparent because also if we have Fellow the Bard just outside of Relica, he also doesn't want to talk to us because we are an Outerlander. Brunt mentions that if we want to become a Fremenic, there are only 2 ways, either to be born a Fremenic, and the second part is to be voted in by the elders, and there is a council of 12 members and we need to convince 7 of them to let us in as a Fremenic. So that's what we are going to do. Let's see which 7 we can convince. First of all, Olaf the Bard has agreed to let us in if we can make something like a bard, so make some music together with some verses. So first of all, we need to actually get a lyre to actually make an instrument. There are 2 ways, and well, the way that the quest helper is giving is to go to the troll to actually make it from scratch, but we are missing the swaying tree to actually be able to make it. The other way is to kill some of the Fremenic people, so that might not be the best way to get accepted into the Fremenic tribe, but we're going to do it anyway. Hey, and there we go. That's 9 Borokar down for 1 lyre. A normal lyre isn't enough, it needs to be enchanted for us to bring out the best performance. To enchant a lyre, we need to make an offering of a raw fish, but not any kind of fish, a very high level fish, which is either a shark, a manta ray, or a sea turtle. So if we offer that up to Fossegrimmen, she will enchant the lyre for us. There we go, that's 1 enchanted lyre. Now we're ready for our performance. Olaf seems to be very happy with our performance, and we have earned his vote, so that's 1 out of 7. Next up is Manny the Reveller. He says he will let us in, but we need to make sure that we can outdrink him. That might be a heavy task as he's been drinking for quite a while here, but we can always try. Let's get us a keg and let's see how this goes. But yeah, we are not an experienced drinker, so that's not good. We'll have to find some other way to beat him. When talking to the council workman just south of the village, he remade the bridge, but that was a bit of a thirsty kind of job and he wanted some beer for his troubles. So we gave him a beer, and in return we got a strange object. But More importantly, he said that the poison salesman in Sears Village doesn't only sell poison, but he also sells non-alcoholic beer, so that seems like a very good way to win from Manny. When trying to replace the normal keg of beer with the low alcohol keg, Manny doesn't want us to cheat, so we will have to find something to distract him while we are changing the beer inside of the keg. Good thing though is that the strange object we got from the council workman actually makes a big sound if we use a tinderbox on it, so let's plant it outside, and then as it explodes we can change the contents of the keg. There we go, everybody distracted. We have a keg of beer, but not really. Let's outdrink him. And that impressed Manny, so we get his vote. That's 2 out of 7. Next up is Sigly the Huntsman. He gave us a talisman to find and locate the dragon, an invincible creature that gets more and more power depending on how many people die at sea. The only way to keep it in check is to kill it once in a while and use the Hunter's Talisman to get his power so he does not get too powerful. And Sigly says if we do this for him, he will vote for us. Now, the problem with this is if we locate this Hunter's Talisman, it says southwest. So that's a good thing, because these two chunks are also possible chunks that the dragon can spawn in, but southwest is great because that's a part where we don't have issues. So let's see where he is. Okay, found it. We're pretty lucky that it didn't spawn in any of these chunks, so that's actually great. Now, just to kill it, which won't take long, and get its essence into the talisman, and that's another vote. And he accepts the vote, so that's 3 out of 7. Next up is Sigmund the Merchant, and he has a simple task for us. We need to make sure that we have a special kind of flower for him. The sailor at the docks has the flower, but he wants to give it to his girlfriend. We persuaded him that if we could give him a ballad instead, he will give us the flower, as his girlfriend likes ballads. But he is pretty bad at ballads himself, or anything music related, so we need to get him a ballad. Olaf the Bard is willing to give us the romantic ballad, but he's having some hard time concentrating because his shoes are worn out, so we need to make sure he gets new shoes. We asked the seamstress to make the boots, and she agreed to make the boots, but only if we talk to Brunt the chieftain to lower the taxes for her. Brunt agrees to lower the taxes, but as that would cause some harm to the tribe, he wants to get something good out of this as well. And in return, he wants to know from Sigly the Huntsman where the best hunting grounds are, so the others can also hunt. Sigly also wants to give us the map to the hunting ground, but he wants also something in return, and that is a very special bowstring to make sure that he is still outpacing all of the other hunters. Skullgrimmen has made the bow of Sigly, and he wants to give us the bowstring, but it's extremely expensive. So instead he wants a very special fish that has been caught recently by the fisherman, so he can make a trophy out of it. The fisherman is also willing to part with the special fish, but he wants a map of the best fishing spot, so we need to talk to the navigator. And the navigator does not really want to give us the map, but he has something more important that we can get him, and that's the forecast from the seer. The seer also just wants to give us the forecast, but he wants a bodyguard, and apparently we are not good enough, so we will have to find a bodyguard for him. And then Torvald the warrior wants to become a bodyguard, but he feels like it's a bit beneath him, so he wants a champion's token from one of the revelers instead, so he can be recognized as one of the greatest warriors in the tribe. Manny the reveler is willing to part with his token, because he's pretty much tired of drinking beer all day. It doesn't taste good anymore, and he misses the day of battle. The only thing that he needs is that the barkeep here, Tora, She is very famous to make some drinks, but according to her, beer is the only thing that Fremnik should drink. But in the past, she made some kind of cocktail that was extremely tasty, and that's what Manny wants from her in exchange for the token. And then Tora also is willing to make the cocktail if we make sure that the young lad outside never steals some beer again and doesn't bother her anymore. And it seems that we are at the end of our scavenger hunt. Ask Lads then just want some money for the written promise, so we will just give him 5,000 coins. And now to get back to everybody, so that everybody is happy and that we can finally get our vote from the merchant. After 5 minutes of walking around, we finally have the exotic flowers for Sigmund. And that's the 4th vote. 3 more to go. Thorvald the warrior is willing to give us his vote, as he doesn't mind having more warriors in the tribe. So we just need to make sure that we have finished a battle he has set up, and if we overcome that, he will give us his vote. But we cannot bring in any weapons, so I will have to bank some things. And there's Koshé the Deathless. We need to defeat him 3 times to get the vote, so let's see. Yeah, first time was really easy. Time for a harder version. And there's the second death. Now we get him at full power. And that's the 3rd defeat. And with that, we also now have the warriors vote. We have 5 votes in total. 2 to go. Quentin the navigator is willing to give us his vote if we can manage to navigate ourselves out of his maze. So let's go and try it. The thing is, this maze is extremely easy, not because of the plugin here, but because it is actually just his name. So S for south, W for west, and then east, north, that's Sven. Now just the sun left. And there we go. One of the easiest of all of the challenges we have done, but that is now 6 votes. We are at half the amount of elders, just 1 left to sway the entire thing. The last council member we can persuade is Pierre de Seer, and he values wisdom above all, and that's why he has crafted a puzzle room that we need to get through to get his vote. So that's just what we are going to do. And just a couple of puzzles later, we have solved the puzzles and we have gotten our last vote. Now the only thing we need to do is inform Brand that we are now officially going to be inaugurated as a new member of the Fremnik. And with that, we are at the end of the quest. We are now officially a Fremnik, and we are awarded with 3 quest points, 2,800 experience in both strength, defense, attack, hit points, fishing, thieving, agility, crafting, fletching, and woodcutting. So quite a nice amount of experience. And our new name is now Darker. I kind of like that name, we'll gladly accept that. But finally we are done with the Fremnik trials. The first quest unlocked because of the unlocking of Relica. Let's go complete the quest on our dashboard and then let's see which kind of chunk we are going to get. Proud to be a Fremnik, and we can also complete the Fremnik trials on our dashboard here. Our 114th quest for our 370th chunk. And then back to the map we go. The last chunk we unlocked was of course Relica, and that made it possible to do the Fremnik trials. There's still a lot of things we can now do because of it, so I wouldn't mind rolling a not so good chunk, but on the other hand, this actually increases the amount of good chunks in comparison to when we did not have this. Pretty much all of the islands are pretty good now because they unlock new quests, so I wouldn't mind rolling some of the islands. Like if we get Etcetera, we can do the entire quest line of the Throne of Miscellanea. And then if we roll to the Fremnik Isles, we can do those quests and so on. So like the same thing with the Island of Stone, and then a bit further than I imagined it was going to be, but we also have Lunar Isle, which would be a nice quest to unlock, because that's also like a prerequisite to do some other quests. So yeah, a lot more options because of this one little chunk, so really happy with that. But let's see which is going to be the next chunk we are going to unlock. Let's pick a chunk. Oh, it's going in the right direction. We can now unlock Nate's Knot, but it was a water chunk, so that is not a landmass chunk, which means we are going to re-roll this one. So let's pick a chunk. Oh, that's the entire other way. I was not looking at the desert. But that's the ancient vault unlocked. Well, it's a good chunk to unlock because that's the start of Desert Treasure 2. But we still haven't done Desert Treasure 1. And for that we need... which one is it? Here, the ice pot. I think this is the only thing we are missing to unlock the Desert Treasure 1 quest. But now that I think of it, like, I think there's a lot more prerequisite quests we don't have to be able to do the Desert Treasure 2 quest. So yeah, it's not bad, but not really useful at the current stage of the account either. But yeah, 2 more chunks until all the desert is unlocked, which is also quite nice. It was also like one of the more solitary chunks, so yeah, not a bad chunk if you ask me. Alright, now that all of the Fremeniks want to talk to us, including Fallow the Bard for our master clue we have in the bank, let's make sure that we can do even more master clues, and let's do the Making History quest. That will give us access to Jorl, as he does not want to give us the strange device until we have done the quest. So let's do Making History, and I don't think this will take that long. I think it's a very short quest, but let's see. Jorl is not happy that this outpost here, that has been built quite a while ago, is set to be destroyed by King Laetus of Ardoin. He thinks this building has a very rich history, but he does not know exactly what it is. So that's what we need to figure out by talking to some people he knows that have some connection to this outpost. And maybe if we can prove the history of this building, King Laetus will not destroy this building. So first up, we need to talk to a merchant in East Ardoin. The great-grandfather of Erin, the silver merchant, was a resident of the outpost, but even his mother did not really know what he actually did there. The only thing he has of him is this enchanted key, and as you walk around, this becomes warmer or hotter, so we might actually get some stuff of his if we can find the chest that this key is a part of. This seems to be the place that we need to be, so let's dig. And we get a chest, so let's use the enchanted key on it. And we find a journal, probably from his great-grandfather. So this should be a very good information source for what happened in the outpost. It seems that Drozel, the great-grandfather of Erin, was actually a follower of Zamorak that caused some ruckus in the town of Ardoin. It seems like he lived with 8 others in the outpost, which sounds like a very confined space for 9 people, but okay. And from there, they did all kinds of evil things to the people of Ardoin. But the journal ends as the people of Ardoin wanted to retaliate, so he might have been killed because of all of the things they did. But the book ends here, so let's go to the next person we were told to go to by Jorl. And then the reason why we needed Relica. We needed to talk to Dron, a warrior that is very interested in everything that has to do with battles. And a battle happened in the outpost between some Saradominists and some Zamarakians. Well, the Zamarakians we've already known about, but the Saradomins had one person that was an ex-friend of a Zamarakian, the forces actually killed each other except for the two ex-friends, and those ex-friends then noticed like, why are we doing this? And they converted to gothics instead. So now I imagine we will go to talk to a ghost in Port Phasmatis to see the Serra Dominist side. Droelak is one of the people that died at the outpost, and it's a bit of a sore subject as he died there. But first of all, he wants us to make sure that his wife is actually alright with him, because she still doesn't want to talk to him because he did not come back when he went to the outpost. Okay. We gave her a sapphire amulet because that was the last thing he gave her before he left. And when we gave her another, she passed on because she was happy that he remembered. Okay, guess she's forgiven. Let's hear that story. Okay, this makes sense. So this is a timeline of the Ardoin outpost. It was built in the 5th age, at the start of the 5th age. 65 years in, there was some kind of tragedy. A couple of years later we know about that battle, and then a bit later the two survivors, so I guess that's going to be the Sardominist and then the Zamrakian. They made new lines of Kings of Ardoin and equal trade markets. So this must be the great-grandfather of the Silver Merchant, but it appears to be that the King of Ardoin is also connected to the outpost, so that might actually be the best thing we could have hoped for, as the king wants to destroy it. So if he learns that he's actually a descendant of somebody that had some dealings there, that might put his mind to preserving the outpost instead of breaking it down. King Laetus now agrees that the outpost needs to be preserved, and he gave us a letter to give back to Jorol to give him the good news that it now needs to be a museum. So let's give him the good news. And there we go, that's the end of the quest. We get 3 quest points, 1000 prayer, 1000 crafting experience, 750 coins, and the enchanted key. This is now a very interesting thing here, because now we can do the hot and cold master clues, which is great. And the enchanted key is actually a mini quest, but we actually cannot do this yet. We have all of the locations except for the one with the swaying tree. Over here somewhere we need to dig for the first item, and we always need to dig over here. So this chunk has actually become very nice to actually get. So that's another chunk added to one of the good ones. But that was making history completed. That's a quest completed, and a quest completed means we have a task completed for another chunk unlock. So let's go to our dashboard, let's complete it over there, and then let's see which is going to be the next chunk. Another fairly fast quest. Making history is now complete. That was quest number 115, and that got us 371 landmass chunks now. And then back to the map we go. Last chunk we unlocked was the Ancient Vault. So we are now down to 62 possible chunks. There's quite a few good ones to roll, so I'm quite keen on seeing which one we will get. So let's pick a chunk. Oh, that's another part of Relica. I'm not really sure if we can actually get here, or maybe if there are like some rock crabs here. But yeah, I think this is quite a dead chunk, but that's not a bad thing, as we still have a lot of things to do that was unlocked with the Relica chunk. The questing part is now done. Those were the only 2 quests we could do after unlocking the Relica chunk. We pretty much need some more of the island chunks to be able to actually complete more of the quests. So the next thing we unlocked with the Relica chunk was access to the boats, and in particularly the boats to Waterbird Island. So this island over here. If we go in here and go to the very bottom level, there is a ladder here, and that will take us to the lair of the Dagonaut Kings. There are 3 of them, which means if we kill each one once, that's 3 new chunks, which would be amazing. The thing here is, and you might call me crazy for doing this, is that not so recently they added some shortcuts to get there easily. The shortcuts from this side here to pretty much the end of all of these sublevels, I think it spits you out over here. That is 81 agility. That's 11 levels away from our level 70 that we currently have. And maybe even worse, there is another shortcut. Normally, if you get in here, you need to have a rock, a pet rock to get through here. And then do some weird things with a rune throwing axe and then go down. But actually, you can also use a shortcut here, and this one has a agility requirement of 85. Now, I'm not really sure if I want to go to 85 in one go, but this will just make life a lot easier to just have those out of the way, and agility levels will always help us in the long run. So I'm not really sure if I want to do like 10 levels and then boost with a pie, but either way, we need 10 levels, 10 total levels to get another chunk that way. So actually, this is quite perfect. Let's start at the seer scores, as I'm pretty much still winding down from the workday. And as soon as we hit 72, we will be able to do the Hallowed Sepulchre floor 3, which is actually really nice, as I pretty much want to get started on unlocking those floors and all of the items that we can get from the Hallowed Sepulchre, as we haven't been there yet on this account. So I think I'm just gonna do 2 levels here at the seer scores and then go to the Hallowed Sepulchre, see what we can get there. I think I just want to get all of the items out of the way there. And at 80, I think we can do the Relica rooftop. So let's just get to 80 by doing some combination of rooftops and the Hallowed Sepulchre. Roll a chunk and see if we will get like 5 more levels or if we're just gonna boost. Because I think if I do 10 levels of agility, I'm probably going to be really tired of doing agility. So let's just see how far we get. Let's just get cracking with some agility content. And there's already the first level, level 71. And there's 72 agility. Now we can do floor 3 of the Hallowed Sepulchre, but I'm kind of enjoying just watching a show here, so might take another level before we get there. Oh, that was fast. That's already 73. And there's 74. I was just doing some laps at Polnivnich because the rates are a bit better than in Sears, but I think it's time to stop procrastinating and just go to the Hallowed Sepulchre. Oh, yeah, right. The first thing we loot, and we get some hallowed marks because that is a collection log. We get the pop-up as well. Hey, and there's the first page as well. Hey, there's another page from floor 1. We're at 100 marks, so time to buy our first item here. And I was thinking about just buying the hammer first because I don't want to spend too many nails. So that's 100 marks for a hammer and the collection log pop-up, of course. Hey, and that's the page. What is this? Floor 1? Floor 2? Yeah, this is the page for floor 2. Okay, so that's now all the pages we could have gotten, and we're almost at enough marks to buy our next upgrade. Next up, let's buy the hallowed symbol, as I'm currently not using my vampire dust because I don't really have many of them, and this makes sure that we only need 1 instead of 2, so from now on I will be using these, so the amount of marks we will get will go up from now on. Oh, that's actually really nice. Strange old lockpick. If we ever go back to barrows, which I might actually do in the near future, just in between things. That's going to make life a lot easier. And there's our first level, level 75 agility. And in the same run, we have gotten up to 100 marks again. So we can buy our next item. I'm going to buy the Hallowed Grapple, because that's the one we're pretty much failing most of the time. The next one would be the Focus. That would make us not fail the portals, but there's only one portal and we rarely fail this, so I don't think we're going to go for this immediately. And then the Hallowed Ring, I'm not really sure. Yeah, it's 250 marks. This one makes sure that we don't get damaged, but we have food enough in the bank. So I'm going to just buy this one for another collection log. And I think, well, you can see the XP here is very bad because I'm looting everything. I think I'm just going to go and loot the third floor only. And that should maybe get us like to 50, 45, 50k XP an hour. And that would be better than Polnev Niche. So yeah, I think that's the way to go. I wasn't actually checking, but apparently we've hit another 100 mark. So we'll just buy the Hallowed Focus. And then finally, that's another level, level 76. And as you can see by the tracker, we're not even halfway after 6 levels. So for the 4 more levels, we need to pretty much do the same thing from 70 to 76. And then it's time to buy the last item we're going to get here, the Hallowed Ring. If we do fail now, we don't get damaged, so that's pretty good. For collection log purposes, we're pretty much done here. We're probably getting the other 2 pages when we get back here later on the account. Maybe get some hallowed tokens as well, because that's another minute when you do the higher floors, which is very helpful. But for the rest, I think this is it for now. Let's just get those 4 more levels and then let's see the chunk first, but then let's get to the DKs, because this is taking a bit longer than I would have wanted it to be. And back to some rooftops for 77 agility, 78, 79. And then finally, after more than 1.2 million agility experience, if we jump this edge, we will be 80 agility. That kind of took longer than I expected it to be, but now that we're here, we have reached the total level requirement for another task completion, so that means another chunk roll. And also we can now just use a boost to get through the water bird dungeon here with the +5 for the rocks, and then a bit further on we only need 81, so that's going to be just a little bit easier than going through with a normal rock. But finally done. I'm not going to go to 85, but let's see our chunk first before we go to DKs. Before we actually complete our total level task, Yama has been released. We now have 4 added to our boss list, so this will become 264. And we also have the combat achievements because the agility took so long, and that will add another 3 combat achievement tasks. So let's complete our 1925 total level task. That will be our 77th total level task for our 372nd chunk. And then back to the chunk map we go. Last chunk we unlocked was the upper part of Relica. It doesn't really change much for the map because everything around it was already unlockable or unlocked. We are pretty much squishing the part here with the Caldergrim entrance, which would be a very good chunk to get, so hopefully we can roll that in the near future. But let's see what the chunk picker has in store for us. Let's pick a chunk. Oh, that was the wrong way I was looking. I was looking at the top part here, but that's actually a very interesting chunk, which has been unlockable for ages now, and that's Harmony Island. Harmony Island is useful because we can start the quest here at Mostly Harmless, and I think we had the quest requirements for quite a while, just didn't have the chunk. I still think we're first of all going to the DKs as we went and slaved for the agility levels, but Harmony Island and the quest here will be after that. And that's going to be the end of the episode. The Dagonaut Kings will have to wait until next episode, but they will rapidly shoot us forward in terms of chunks. So have a lookout for the next episode, and until then, have a great day and see you next time.